countdown. Listen. And look at this scene as the Giants defeat the Minnesota Vikings 24-23. Alex Webster on the shoulders in a tremendously emotional thing here at Yankee Stadium. With the Giants getting off with a stunning upset over Minnesota 24-23.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video, and welcome to the Gridiron. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone out there. Anybody's watched my video, maybe subscribe to my channel, maybe give my videos a thumbs up, or maybe left a comment, or anything at all you can do to help me and my channel. I greatly appreciate it. I'm just trying to get my channel up and running. Anything you guys can do, I greatly appreciate it. So thank you so much. So another article, I'll put it in the description box. I'll leave a link. When I saw it, it looked like it was from Sports Illustrated, but then I clicked on the article and it came up to Fan Nation and Giants Country. So I'm not sure if it's Sports Illustrated or Fan Nation or Giants Country. I don't know, but if you want to check it out, you go right ahead. But the title, interesting one, is ranking the worst New York Giants losses against this year's opponents. That's very subjective. You know, I mean, the Cowboys have beaten us 69 times. I mean, to try to pick like the worst one, I mean, the Cowboys have beaten us in a lot of real tough nail biters. They've also kicked the living crap out of us a few times. I mean, so it's very subjective. I mean, and then other ones, they're trying to pick the worst losses of all time against our opponents. I mean, for this year, well, we're playing the Dolphins. Well, the Dolphins only beaten us 2 times. I mean, it's kind of tough to pick we're playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs have beaten us 3 times. I mean, it's kind of tough to pick, a real, a wing ding of a loser. You know what I mean? So it's just very subjective, But so I'll go over it, and I'll give you what they have. Okay, is their worst losses? Well, some of them worst. I mean, some of them, worst meaning you lose a tough one, or so you can get blown out of the building. I mean, that's a tough one too. I mean, but I'll go over them all. First one we got is the Broncos. Okay, now the one that they got is from 1976. The Giants sucked in '76. The Giants lead the series with the Broncos 7-6, but in 1976. The Giants went out to Denver. Each team scored 2 touchdowns. Okay, the Giants missed. Julian Love missed a field goal. Missed an extra point. We lost 14-13. That's a tough one, sure. But I mean, the one that I got, the one that sticks out to me is the 2001 season. And note the date. It was played Monday night, 9/10/01. And I guess you can probably figure out what happened the day after, huh? It's almost 20 years, guys. Almost 20 years. But anyway, Monday night. The Giants the year before went to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, this was huge. We were on the road. We're in Denver. And, it's supposed to look like, like Super Bowl contenders. We certainly did that night. I mean, the Broncos beat us. It was 31-20. It was 31-14, I believe it was, and the Giants scored a late touchdown to make it look somewhat respectable. But the Broncos had almost 500 yards they had like 473 yards of offense against us. We only had 308. I mean, they were just walking up and down the field all night against us. I mean, it was embarrassing. It wasn't a nail biter, but we just came from a Super Bowl. All right, the first game of the season, this is what you do. I mean, we got embarrassed big time. The next game we got is Washington, okay, and this one I kind of got to agree with here was on November 27th, 1966. Right, the 1966 Giants were probably the worst team the Giants have ever had in history. They gave up 501 points. They gave up 35.8 points per game. One of the worst, if not the worst, defenses of all time. Absolutely horrible. The Giants were losing 69-41. As time was running out, Sam Huff, who used to play for the Giants, got traded and resented the Giants forever after he got traded by the Giants. Got traded to the Redskins. Well, anyways, time was running out. The Redskins were in field goal range. Now, you'll never see this ever again. But as time was running out, Sam Huff up, okay, 69-41. They're up by 28 points. He calls a timeout. Not only that, but somehow the Redskins actually sent their field goal unit onto the field, okay, and they kicked the field goal to make it 72-41. So that's the second most points ever given up in a football game. That's the most ever in a regular season game. The most ever was 73 points. The Redskins happened to give it up against the Bears, okay? They lost 73-0, but that was a playoff game. So the Giants gave up 72 points in a regular season game to the Redskins in 1966. Very embarrassing. Then the next team, all right, we have, has a 1966 flavor to it too. The next team is the Atlanta Falcons, all right? We gave the Falcons their first victory ever. They were an expansion team in 1966. 1966, the Falcons were 3-11. The Giants been around since 1925. Right, this is 1966. The Giants were 1-12-1 that year. Unbelievable. We lost 27-16 to the Falcons. We gave them their first victory in the history of their organizations, and it was at Yankee Stadium, no less. Too. What an embarrassment! What a joke. Then the next game they got is against the Saints. All right. You know, there's a lot here. I mean, the Giants do lead the series here, 16-14. All right, but the Saints have beaten us quite a bit, especially with Drew Brees at quarterback. And the one that they picked out was on November 1st, right, 2015. I mean, who can forget this game? The shootout, right? I mean, you know, the Giants, they were losing. I forgot what it was, but they scored like 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then they actually went up 49-42. Well, then, of course, the Saints tied it up. Drew Brees threw his 7th touchdown pass to make it 49-40. Eli Manning had 6. Drew Brees had 7. And then right at the end of the game, the Saints kicked the winning field goal, and they wound up beating us 52-49. That was a tough loss there. A lot of scoring, bad defense. But then the next game we have is the Cowboys. Okay, the game that they picked, they said the Cowboys have beaten us 69 times. It's kind of tough to pick a real, you know, one that really sticks out. But the one that they got is on September 13, 2015. All right, the Giants were leading. They were winning 23-20. They had third down and goal from the 1 yard line. All right, with about a little over a minute and a half left to go. Eli drops back to pass, can't find anybody open, throws the ball out of the end zone. All right, we kick a field goal, so we're up 26-20 with a minute and a half left to go. We're up by 6 points with a minute and a half left to go. What do you think going to happen next? Cowboys, yep, you got it. The Cowboys scored a touchdown. We lost 27-26. All right, then the next one we have is the Rams. All right, now this is one I have one my personal favorite. Okay, but the one that they have here is the Flipper Anderson game. All right, it's the Rams lead the series here 28-17, all right? But this is the playoff game that happened on January 7, 1990. They beat us in overtime at the Meadowlands, 19-13. Jim Everett dropped back to pass in overtime. It was tied 13-13. He hit Flipper Anderson on a 30-yard touchdown pass. Anderson caught the ball, ran into the end zone, ran through the end zone, ran up the tunnel, and just kept going right to the locker room and never saw him again. And the Rams won 19-13. Mine, one that I'll never forget, and I just can't let it go. It was 51 years ago, guys, and I still can't let it go. I know I got to let things go, but I just can't. This one, I just can't. Giants started the 1970 season. First season I ever remember watching football. That's why it really sticks out to me. The Giants started off 0-3. They won 9 of their next 10 games. So they were 9-4. Last game of the season, they're home at Yankee Stadium against the Rams. The Giants win. Not only do they make the playoffs, but they win the division. It'll be the first time they go to the playoffs since 1963. First quarter, the Giants go up 3-0 on a Pico-like field goal. I'm like, all right, baby, here we go. Nope. Rams scored the next 31 points. We wound up losing 31-3, and so we still had a shot. If the Cowboys lost to the Oilers, the Cowboys would be 9-5, and the Giants would be 9-5, and the Giants would have won the division and gone to the playoffs. But the Cowboys beat the Oilers 52-10. So the Cowboys not only won the division, they went to the playoffs, and they lost to the Super Bowl, but they went to the Super Bowl. But I just can't let that one go against the Rams. I mean, during that season, the Jets were 1-7 with a backup quarterback, Al Woodall, because Joe Namath was hurt in 1970. They went on the road, the Jets. They were 1-7. They went into Los Angeles to play the Rams. Al Woodall threw 3 touchdown passes, and the Jets won 31-20. The Giants at home against the same Rams with a Hall of Fame quarterback needing to win to go to the playoffs could only score 3 points. God, it ticks me off. It still burns me to this day, guys. Sorry, can't let it go. All right, the next one they got is the Panthers and the Giants. All right, the Panthers hold a 7-4 lead. This was the playoff game that happened January 8th, 2006. This is horrible. The Panthers won 23-0. The Giants had 9 first downs and 132 total yards. Giants had scored the 3rd most points in the whole league that year, and that they got shut out. They had Plexico Burress, they had Amani Toomer, they had Tiki Barber, they had Jeremy Shockey. They scored the 3rd most points in the NFL, and they got shut out. And I remember after that game, I think Jeremy Shockey said something along the lines like they almost knew every play that we were calling, or something along those lines. I mean, it was just absolutely horrible, absolutely horrible, total embarrassment. All right, the next one they had was the Chiefs versus the Giants, because playing the Chiefs, the Giants lead that series 11-3. So it's really hard to pick a game here. The Chiefs beat us only 3 times, right? The one that they picked was on September 10th, 1995. The Chiefs beat us 20-17 in overtime. The Giants were leading 17-3 with about 8 minutes left to go. So the first 52 minutes of the game, the Chiefs haven't scored a touchdown. So what happens? The last 8 minutes of the game, they score 2 touchdowns, send it in overtime, they kick a field goal, and they beat us 20-17. That was a tough loss. That one was a tough one. Then we got the Raiders, because we're playing the Raiders. Raiders hold an 8-5 lead over us. Okay, the game they're talking about is December 3rd, 2017, the Geno Smith game. Okay, the Raiders won 24-13. Eli's streak is snapped at 210 games. So that's the one that they got. It was 24-17, close game. The Raiders, were the better team that day, and they won. The one that sticks out to me, and I'll never forget this one, 1973, the first time we ever played the Raiders. We went out to Oakland, all right, and the Raiders beat us 42-0. I mean, if you ever think of a game that it's just like, there's a really good team, and there's a team that looks like they're like a bunch of kindergartners playing each other, that's what that looked like. It wasn't even that close. 42-0. It was just a total embarrassment. It's like the Giants were just almost afraid to play. I remember watching that game at home in New York. I was on Long Island, Wisconsin, watching that. Oh my God, I just couldn't believe it. What a shocker. All right, then the next game they got is Tampa Bay. The Giants lead that series 16-8. Now, of course, the game that the big tough loss they're talking about is the one from last year. All right, it was on November 2nd, 2020. The Bucs were winning, right, 25-17. So if we score a touchdown, which we did, make it 25-23, Daniel Jones drops back to pass. Pass it was intended for Deion Lewis. Antoine Winfield Jr. seemed to get there a little early. Didn't make the call, but the ball, it was incomplete. But it seemed like Daniel Jones just, if he had just let it go, it seemed like he either double clutched or he paused a second or so, and that was like the difference. If you just let it go right away, Deion Lewis could have caught the ball and we would have tied. Not saying we would have won, but it seemed like Daniel Jones, he indecisive on that one, and the call it seemed to go against the Giants, but you never ever want to let a call determine the outcome of a game. You have 59 minutes and 55 seconds to determine a game. So don't let one call cost you. I mean, he tried to make Antoine Winfield tried to make a play, and he did. Didn't get called for it. Yeah, they won. But that was a tough loss. Then the next one, they got the Eagles. I mean, how many can you go over here? Miracle at the Meadowlands 1, Miracle at the Meadowlands 2, 2003, Brian Westbrook returns a punt back, 84 yards for a touchdown, with like a minute or two left to go in the game. The Giants are winning 10-7. I mean, and the Eagles had like 143 yards of offense the whole game, and they punt the ball to Brian Westbrook. It wasn't nothing Brian Westbrook couldn't do. Man was fantastic. So he runs the ball back for a touchdown on a punt. I mean, unbelievable. Kick the ball out of bounds. Let him drive the field. I mean, just unbelievable. I just couldn't believe it. The Eagles had like 9 first downs, 140 yards of offense. Oh my God, what a demoralizing loss that one was. But I mean, you had the miracle at the Meadowlands, the second one. I mean, the Giants were up 31-10 with 8 minutes to play, and they gave up 4 touchdowns. Not only that, but the last play of the game, Matt Dodge, our punter, kicks the ball right down the center of the field. Who's there? Deshaun Jackson. What's he going to do? Run it back for a touchdown? Yeah, that's what he did. Hey, don't kick it out of bounds. Nah, just kick it. Let's kick it to Deshaun Jackson. Unbelievable. I mean, then the miracle of the Meadowlands, won as well. Joe Pisarcik trying to hand the ball off to Larry Zonka. Hands it off to his hip. Ball bounces up in the air. Herm Edwards grabs the ball, runs in for a touchdown. I mean, there are other ones too, but I don't want to give the Eagles too much credit, so I'm moving on. Then they got the Chargers versus the Giants. The Chargers leads that series 7-5. The game they're talking about is the Chargers won 27-17 on December 23rd, 1995, the last game of the season. It was known as the snowball game. There was a lot of snowball fights. A lot of one of the equipment manager, I think it was, of the Chargers got knocked out from a snowball. I think there was like 10 security guards that got injured. There was 175 people that got ejected from the game from the snowballs. The refs had to threaten to cancel the game, forfeit the game if they didn't stop. But anyway, the Chargers won that game 27-17. It wasn't a brutal loss. The brutal loss that I'm thinking of, happened, it was October 19th, 1980. The Chargers beat the Giants 44-7. Now that's brutal. The Chargers had 31 first downs, the Giants had 13. The Chargers had 567 yards of offense, the Giants had 206. First time ever that the 2 wide receivers and the tight ends all had over 100 yards receiving. First time ever. Charlie Joyner had his 171 yards receiving. Kellen Winslow had 102 yards receiving. And Jefferson had 107 yards receiving. It was horrible. I mean, the Giants just couldn't stop them. It was pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. All right, then we got the Chicago Bears, right? The one that they're talking about in this, the tough loss, was the playoff game on January 5th, 1986, where we lost 21-0. Sean Landeta tried to kick the ball. When he punted, he missed it, and the Bears, got a touchdown off of that one. If not for that, the Bears might have won 14-0. There was a couple other brutal losses I'm talking about. I mean, one was the 1933 championship game. The Giants were up 21-16 with under 2 minutes to go. The Bears have to score a touchdown. They drove the length of the field to score a touchdown to win the championship, 23-21. Or 1963, the championship game in Wrigley Field. Giants lost 14-10. The Bears had 2 drives where they scored touchdowns. The first drive, they intercepted a pass and got tackled around the 5-yard line. So they had a 5-yard drive for a touchdown. The second time they scored, they intercepted the pass, got tackled around the 14, 13-yard line. So they had like a 14-yard drive for a touchdown. Other than that, they don't score a point. And the Giants wound up losing 14-10. What a joke. We turned the ball over 6 times in that game. Wyatt Tittle throws 5 interceptions. I mean, the Giants were the better team that day. They just shot themselves in the foot, literally. Then you got the Dolphins, okay? The Dolphins, I mean, since 1970 when we merged, the Dolphins have beaten us 2 times. The first time was 1972. So the brutal loss that they're talking about here was 1972. Right? It was on December 10, 1972. It was the 13th game of the season. That was the year the Dolphins went 17-0. So the Dolphins coming into the game, this was in Yankee Stadium, were 12-0. So this is week 13. All right, so, they wound up beating the Giants 23-13. All right. The other time that they beat the Giants was on October 5th, 2003. The Dolphins won 23-10. But, I mean, they beat us twice. It really wasn't anything that brutal. When they beat us in 1972, the Giants had 6 turnovers. The Dolphins had 1. I mean, that's the reason why the Dolphins beat us 23-13. I mean, we just kept turning the ball. I remember Bob Tucker caught a pass, got inside the 15-yard line of the Dolphins. The next play, we fumbled the ball. The Dolphins get the ball. the Giants score a touchdown, they get their extra point blocked. I mean, they were just shooting themselves in the foot. The Dolphins were the better team that day, but the Dolphins, the 1972, the Dolphins were 14-0. They didn't play one team that went to the playoffs in the regular season. They didn't play one team that was in first place the whole year. They beat two teams that had winning records all year. They beat the Giants, who were 8-6, and he beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who were 8-6. That's it. They had the most pathetic, easy schedule probably of all time. Could you imagine that, not playing a team nowadays that didn't go to the playoffs? I mean, you have to play teams in first place. The way the schedule is now, you have to. There's no way around it. Well, in 1972, the Dolphins managed to do that. They beat two teams that had winning records. What a joke of a schedule. But, it is what it is. But anyway, the Giants lead that series 7-2. So that's the 17th game for the Giants for this season. So those are some of the, it's very, very subjective. Tough losses, big losses. You get blown out or tough nail-biting losses. It's subjective. But they also have a list of the good victories that we have against these opponents, and I'll be doing that again tomorrow. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there, and go Giants! Woo!